All right, so we're going to be looking at running. How do we run? Now, we already looked at how to pencil out a run, right? You always want to sketch these things first, or you reference. Your sketch, your own sketch is usually best. I see if I can show. Thought I had a reference image here, but there's no reference. So I'm gonna do it without reference. But usually speaking, you would normally do with a reference or a sketch just to kind of match things out. But I'm going to show you how to manipulate this character, and we're going to kind of make it, you know, across the screen like that for kind of continuously. We'll see something like that. So the first thing that I'm going to want to, I am going to just delete all of these keyframes. Right now, if you want to find this particular rig, look in the same sandbox folder for underscore runner underscore rig, and you'll find this guy here with this background, etc. If the background doesn't come up, don't worry about that. So we're going to click on the first keyframe, right below in the timeline. If you're using Opentoonz, it looks like a key. If you're using Tahoma, it looks like a dot. So after you click it, you're going to right click it, and then you're going to look for select all keys. All the keys are going to change color, and then you just hit delete, and we end up with the scene fresh with no keyframes, right? So we have this background here, and the first thing that I am going to do, I'm going to enlarge the background. I'm going to go down to the background level or layer, right? I'm going to call it level because that's what the software calls it. So it might be easier for you to recognize when you hover over it and you'll see that, oh, it's called a level, or when you're clicking on add new level, it says add new level. So right here, it's called column 2. I've clicked on it, and then I'm going to go to the animate tool, which is the shortcut, guys. It's the animate tool. Animate tool starts with A, so it's A. So I'm going to click on that. The first thing I'm going to do is remember every tool has properties, and the properties are where? At the top, right below the menu. So we're going to click on drop down right here, right? And let me look and just make sure that you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. Great. So I'm going to click on the drop down, and I'm going to click on scale because I want to scale this up. So I'm going to move my mouse to the left or down, whichever one. Either one kind of sizes it up. Let me size it to something that was going to size it. Thing matches his scale. Let me click on the position. Let's here and the scale up because looks for this. Yeah, that looks a bit better, right? But now I want to position it to make sure that it stays within the camera frame. You'll notice the camera frame is these little red dots, right, around the rectangle of where the camera is. So I'm going to start about there. And you see we have our left, and this allows animated, right? So I'm going to put this here, right about there. I'm going to go up to our characters rigged in a very special where everything comes from the hip. If you look on my right side, and if you go into the schematic in Opentoonz, you'll see it as well. I hold the hand tool here, drag across, what you will notice is that everything for the character starts from the hip, right? If I click on the hip node, or I go down to hip right here, as you can see, when I click on it, it changes color. Then I can move my character, right? So I'm going to position the character. I'm already in Animate tool. And Animate tool begins with what letter for the shortcut key? A, right? I'm repeating this over and over because you guys need to know this by heart, right? Shouldn't have to go this, but you guys need by heart. All right, bam. So we place our character. I'm placing him in the center. Now that we've placed him in the center, I'll show you how to character. Now there are two ways to animate, right? One is you can use the animate tool, but the problem with using the animate tool is that you have to select what you want to animate. Right? What do I mean by that? Let's say I want to move his chest. I have to click on his chest here, and then I have to say use rotation and rotate his chest. If I want to animate his waist, I have to click on his waist and rotate his waist. And each time you change it, it creates a keyframe. If I want to animate the leg, I have to move like that. Right? That's the most basic way to do it. Now, the problem with it is that it takes so much time to search for, a particular body part or a particular shape. Animate, you have to be scrolling through. It's the hand, it's the hand. Right? One other method is to use this tool here called the, what's this? Control point editor, which would be over here. So when you click on the control point editor, you can actually, if you click on the edge of something, of a shape, it's supposed to highlight that shape, but it's, there we go. So like I click on this shape and then I press A, and then I can animate it, which is a bit quicker, but still somewhat slow, um, and a little bit monotonous. The easier way is once you have a rig set up, like you have it set up here, where the hip is appearing, and then connected to the hip is the waist, um, and the legs, and then connected to the leg is the calf, connected to the half is the foot, connected to the waist is the chest, connected to the chest is the upper arm, and so on and so forth. When you have it set up like that, it's what's called a, so if you look on your no, yeah, if you look on this side, like the, where is that? If you look in the toolbar, you should see something looking like a bone. If you don't see it, there should be like a little arrow at the bottom of the toolbar. Click on that and it will expand and show you um, it will show you other tools, and you'll see the bone tool there. So I'm going to click on the bone tool, and the first thing you'll notice is that there are these little pins, these rods in the character. Right now, we are currently in build skeleton mode. And how do we know we are in build skeleton mode? Again, if we look up below the menu, see the property. And when you see the property, now you don't want to trouble this mode. This is when you want to build your own skeleton. Don't try to do that. We want it to animate. So when you see animate, now you just see these pins, the dots, right? The pivot points, I should say. You no longer see the rods that are in the character. And just for point of reference, bone or skeleton tool that is called, the letter, that's the short. So now all I have to do if I want to move something is I click on the shape and I move it. Click on the shape, and this is going to make animation much faster. If I want to move the entire shape, I just grab the cross hairs that you see here at the pivot point. All these basically at the pivot point, and I just put it where I need to put it, right? And there's another one called inverse kinematic. So there's something called forward kinematic and there's something called inverse kinematic. Now, forward kinematic, what that means is that the parent controls the child, but the child does not control the parent. Right? Child only controls itself. With inverse kinematics, it's the other way around, or not the other way around. Actually, the parent can move the children, and the children have. And let me show you what I mean. Let's go back to forward kinematics. If I move this arm, you'll notice the forearm and the hand moves, right? The arm is the parent, right? The forearm is the child. If I move the forearm, the arm doesn't move, upper arm doesn't move. If I zoom in here, anytime you find it hard to click, it's because that you're so zoomed out that when you try to click the shape, the areas are getting confused. Very close. And if I move the hand forearm doesn't move. That's forward kinematic. Right? So the kinematics move forward down the chain. Same here, if I go upper body, you'll see both arms and the head move because the chest is a parent, the head, the neck, the arms, etc. Same with like the waist. The waist is a parent to the chest, and the chest is a arm, etc., etc., etc. All right, and that is why when we moved the hip, all of the character move because the hip is the granddaddy. All right, so forward kinematics. Now let's go to forward kinematics. So with forward kinematics, now we're going to see the parent being influenced by the child. Look at this. I'm going to grab the yeah, we're in inverse kinematics. So if you notice, I'm grabbing the forearm and the entire body is moving, right? Entire body is moving, right? Trying to get something else down here. No, the problem with the inverse kinematics is that inverse kinematics can sometimes be troublesome. It's great when you want to make like, combined adjustments really quickly, but it's not very accurate. So it can get annoying like here, right? But when you want to make like, you make some quick adjustments, right? Bam, you know, I'm getting some nice quick adjustments. So inverse kinematics is great for getting nice quick adjustments, but it tends not to be very accurate. So I prefer to just use Animate. So we have the principle set out. What I want you guys to do now is pause this video and just play around with the character. Load it up into your Opentoonz or your Tahoma and play around with the character. See how to manipulate the character. Get comfortable with manipulating before it's the run cycle, right? Do not continue watching this video until you try that. Believe me, you will not regret it. Otherwise, you're going to get to the end of this video and then you're going to be trying to figure out and play back and, don't do that to yourself. All right, so now that you've unpaused the video, or you should have now when to be faster. Let's say the run long. Say one cycle. Um, let us say here. Okay. The the first pose that we want is the contact pose. And we know the contact pose already. You can look it up, right? Look it up if you need to look it up. Is this pose here where the front leg is straight, and I'm going to just bring this forward. Yes. And I'm going to pull this back. Right? So what we know about the contact pose is that the front leg is straight and the heel is contacting the ground. The back leg is bent. Right? The back leg is bent. If the back leg here is bent, as in the right leg is bent, one of the things that we have to recognize is that one of the things we have to recognize is that the opposite arm is forward, right? When we are running, the legs and arms oppose each other. We have here this arm in front, this arm behind. And I have him leaning forward because, usually when you're running, you're kind of leaning forward. But 12 is our halfway mark. And what we're going to so how am I going to do that? I'm going to select this leg at the back and I want to just push this up, grab the calf, bend it, and then just grab this one in front, it forward, hit it down a bit. That we have this, right, which almost looks like a run. We're getting the impression of a run just by backing and forthing. What I'll do is I want to bring this arm forward so that we look like we have some shoulder rotation. Little trick, 2D cutout, make things look like it's, you know, somewhat rotating. We did the same thing with the hips, if you recognize. Right, this gives us the impression that the hip is rotating. All right, so great. So the next thing that I'm going to advise you guys to do is just set all your, right? And we do that by pressing the shortcut key Z on all of the cells that don't have keyframes. And why we do this is just so that we freeze every limb of the character. And we do that because we want to ensure that we don't get any strange movements. And if you want, you know, um, wait, I'm noticing. All right, let's set some keyframes here as well. Right, these things just make sure that everything's unpredictable. And I'm going to turn on a repeater so that, we can get a repeated run. Not sure why that happens. So let me on. What's going on here? Not sure why that's happening, but we soon find out. All right. So anyway, continuing. So one of the things we wanted to know is that, right, we get the opposite. right? We need to copy all of these keyframes, and we can just click on the first keyframe and then go down the line, hold shift, click on second, then the last keyframe. Control C, copy, then move across to 24, and then on the first frame, Control V. Right? So let us look at what happens here now. When I play this and repeat, we see we have the movement from the right and the left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Wait, let's stop playing this. So we're on our way. So now we need what's supposed to come in. So we're gonna say here at the sixth frame, we're gonna have our passing. So we're still on the bone tool, straighten this out. I am going to bring this up a bit. Let us straighten this out. Flatten this foot. And this foot. Right? And should I leave the arms here? Straighten this arm a little bit. That kind of. And if you want, we can do the same thing for here at the 18 mark. Right? Of course, it's going to be the opposite leg. So one of the things you have to remember is the leg that's passing over is the leg that's moving forward. So look for what's moving forward. Right? So in this case now, this leg, the front leg, is going to be straight. And then the next thing to remember is to bring this down. This one. Oops. That much, more or less. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So we'll play that through. It's starting to look more like a run because more of phases are getting into the mix. So it's starting to look more like a run. So let us stop playing that. And with the run, remember there's supposed to be up and down movement, but we're doing that last. So now here at the 3 mark, what we want to do is we do the down because when you're landing, especially when you're running, it's a hard land and your body has to absorb that. So right here at the 3 sec mark, and come on, bend. Can like, we can probably bend this up a little. That's fine. And change the arm. And then here at the 9 mark, we're going to make this up a little bit more dramatic because we don't have a dramatic enough up. airtime is 2 and automatic. So, so I'm going to go to 2 and I'm 8 now. Okay? And do. Again, I'm going to just set all the keyframes. And again, this is just so that I don't have any unexpected event. What's going on here? If I didn't ruin something, let's check and see. Alright, cool. Setting keyframes, setting keyframes. Still have not found multiple ways to set keyframe. Still have to do it one by one. Time consuming, but it's very, very advised. Because animation happens from one keyframe to our next. Alright, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy our first keyframe. Hold on shift, click on last keyframe, control C to copy. Over to 15, to the top, paste. Right? Now you might be saying, why did you copy and paste that, sir? Because at the end of the day, I'm repeating the guide that has already been positioned. So the reason is just for reference, right? And I just skin. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this forward. Oh, I shouldn't do this one first. Let me do the furthest one first, because then it's going to get blocked. Shade that into this, that in. And these things don't have to really be exact, you know. Shade it here, shade like that, shade so. It's feel like this might be a little too high. Maybe, maybe not. And then we have the up, that up. I could have do the same thing with the whole copy and try to match back the position and the other up. This knee look a little low. And then we play and see what we need to make adjustments to. All right. So you see, because he's not moving up and down, things look a little strange, right? They look quite strange. So I'm going to stop that. Sure, this key. So what we're going to do now is we're going to be focusing on the up and down movement. You know, so our run looks a little bit more believable, and then we might add in some upper body movement and then maybe some head movement. You always, when animating, you want to animate the biggest body parts first, and then you move to the smaller um, parts. Let me take off this onion skin now. All right, so we know with the contact, let's assume that this is the side for the contact. So for the down now, what we're going to be doing is we go to hip. So first things first, let's go to, I'm going to use the animate tool for this. And well, we could use the bone tool. Try it here. So let's use the bone tool so we can just keep things consistent. So we're going to move to here. Now, one of the things that I should do is very simple. To make my life easier, I could draw a line, but I'm going to just use the line that is here in this drawing. So I am going to make him run. Let us make him run on this line, right? This line here. So essentially what I'm trying to do when animating his height is to try to keep him there. So I think he was down here, sort of. And we can see we have a little bit of a, height issue here, so we can raise this up slightly, right? So there we're having it feel like, hey, he's planting his foot. And then we come up to here, we can say, all right, let's bring him down a bit. And then you can see here the height is a problem again. So you just kind of just adjust the height as you go along. And with the up, it's not off the ground yet. And I mean, you can either adjust the height or the legs. So here we have him up in the air. And if you want, you could make it go higher. And then you can bring this back down and say, hey, we're coming back to the right. So we're getting a little bit of a run here. Again, we're coming down here. Right? And we're just going through and just doing that. We're just, hey, setting the height, making sure the height is right. And like I say, you can either adjust its height or you can do some legs depending on how you want this to play out. And let me just bring this back to the ground. So let me play this too and see. You see here we have a nice little jog. Right, a nice little run. If we want it to be faster, we bring the keyframes closer to each other, right? Alright, so make me stop this. So like I said, we can actually add some body movement now. So we can say, hey, when he lands, let's make his body go forward. So what I'm going to do is the 6 marks. Looks like, come on. little. And then he's coming back up. His body is still traveling forward, right? Oh, I kind of keyframed it before, so it's doing the come up automatic because it's trying to go back. So I'm going to go again. It's the ground on his way up. Should I pause this video because I'm getting a call. All right. So let's see. So right, forward a bit, and I'm going to bounce back up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look right here, and I am going to click. Well, I think no, we're good. We're good. I think so. Let me just play that through. All right, it looks good. It has a little bit of a delay on one side. But I don't know if that is because bring this to here and see if it's keyframe. Yeah, that right arm looks like it's floating. See if I can detect where that is floating. Like um, opposite side is not taking as long, but not to worry. I'm not going to stress over that too much, right? But that's just how here. So let's look now at movement of the back. Now we could move his head to be honest with you. Thinking about the delays in animation of, of the action that happens after you're making from body, I could say his head moves. Careful. Let's make the head face up right here. And then it faces down like that. Let's look for the next pose. Getting a little the head, right? We grab a big go back here, the hair. Let's raise this up, right? Same here for this next contact. And then we do it again here. All right, so let's see how that this. There we go. So we're seeing some head movement as he runs. right? And it gives us that impression that his body is fluid and alive, etc. Could fine tune the head movement. But now this work. So I want you to pause the video and try and get to this stage. Just try and get to this stage, or try and get halfway, whichever one. Pause the video and take the time. Don't just watch the video straight through. Actually, try and prep. All right. So now that you should have unpaused, the next step is to move the background. Now I'm going to go to the background. Let's click on animate. Click on yeah. Now I'm going to just set the first keyframe. Then here, press Z, so it's set. And then I'm going to let's see where I can go. Let's just go way across. Yeah, yeah. So let's give it a few steps. Okay. Or no, let's drag it across. Drag, drag. Let's say 72. And what I'm going to do is hold shift and pull this back across the screen, just halfway. So let me play it back and see how it looks. Oh, stop that. I need to pull this, the playback end marker, 72, so that it plays all the way to 70. And so this is the playback end marker, this little anchor in the back. 72. So there we go. Let me play this and see what this looks like. So it doesn't look too bad, right? It kind of looks like he's jogging at that speed. Right? We could move the background maybe a tad faster. So what we'd have to do is go back to 72, shift up this a little bit further. Let's play again. All right, so the background moving a little bit faster. He's moving a little bit fast. He's looking as if he's, running a little bit faster. And I'm going to change the position of his arms because back to the bone tool. I'm going to raise this arm a little higher. I'm going to go to the next. Tap this. Well, the same thing. Then this. Raise this up. And the thing is, because the arms are straight, it's running. It gives a little, it gives the impression that the arm is dragging. So you don't want the arm to drag and charge. And by charge, what I mean is, let me grab this arm here. Instead of making it straighten where it gets up, I could perhaps make it bend here. Not the arm I want to. One of the problems is that when these things overlap, they get so close that you can't really grab what's behind. I end up clicking something else, like what happens here. In a case like this, you could just go to the animate tool, rotation, and select that particular form. So and rotate it. I can just get rid of the straight arm instead. So bobbing of the head. So I think I'm going to fix that. I'm going to keep his head pretty much straight. This is on the up, so I'm going to keep a dip for all of the ups. See what happens. See what's happening. We'll leave it there. Alright, so let me see what it's looking. Nah, don't like that. It's weird. So let's start. Here we have our run. As I said, we can make it faster, right? If we were to drag all these keyframes closer, right? Of course, we'd have to go a lot of adjustment for that. If I were to play it on 36 frames, which is, not ideal to set, but you can kind of get a better idea of, you know, what a faster run might look like. No, that looks a little too fast. So I'm gonna set it back to 20. And there you have it. You have your run, right? So you have your run. And I could extend this for more frames so that it lasts longer on camera. Let's do that. We could go all the way to 90, for example. I could pull this keyframe background to 90. Only problem is, let me see that. I want it to be a full loop, so you have a past 90. 96. How we do that? I'm going to click on the last cell for any of the first level, and then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to hold shift and click the last cell for the last level, and then I just grab the gray tab, drag them up, right? Grab the background keyframe, drag it up, and drag image, extend the exposure for the image to 96, right? So this might look slow, so let's see what it looks like to see if we need to speed up. So we're looking at the camera view here. So we could work with this speed. It's not about speed, or if you want it to go faster, you can make it go faster. So next step for me, and unfortunately in Opentoonz, well in Opentoonz I think you can render to AVI, but AVIs are big and consume a lot of, it is much easier to just go to fast render MP4, or what you could do is you could make sure everything is good here. It's not possible. Just click on table. Animation. It's like that is, and you change how based on the way the arms run, changing the pace of your run. Meaning, as you can see down below, I have the keyframes evenly apart. I could actually change the speed of them. I could change the speed of them and show you what I mean. So to affect the timing, I could say, for example, last keyframe is up. I could shift there, not shift. Oh, shift. Maybe it's because there's a shift. Should just, oh, I guess I'm wrong. And save outside that. Yeah, let me shift. Oh, delete this keyframe. Shift this forward. Shift it. I'm going to play it back, and you're going to notice that one half of the run look different from the other. You can kind of see like the pace of one half look a little strange, and you can see this weird little glitchy kind of thing. And that's because I've changed the timing on one side. And you can do the same thing with the other side, to get different effects. One of the most important that you chance it to the other side, push the waist back, and let us put on every contact. Just for silliness sake, let's play this back. That's a very silly looking run, right? I've been back. But we could also do this waist thing for all of them. So I'm going to just Control C, Control V, Control V, Control, Control V, Control, Control V. So when I play this back now, let's look and see. Right? A kind of, completely different kind of run. And I could take it a step further and I could say, hey, let me down the arms straight, but the arms are more close. I could have him running, like, with his arms closer to his side, and we can get a different kind of run. I think we've taken up enough time looking at the time now. This video is almost an hour, so I'm gonna put it here because an hour is a lot. I want you guys to just do this now. Finish up your animation, and it's a round. It's a round. So you have to keep on. So, stop the recording.